All right, guys, so we're going to do our first notes online because that's just kind of where it landed in our system here. So find your composition notebook that I gave you at the beginning of the year, or find a place to take notes that you will be able to keep organized, because we are going to take a lot of notes this year and you get to use your notes on your tests. So you really want to have them all in one place so that you're not scrambling to find stuff, because your test will have a time limit. I believe it's a very generous time limit, but you still don't want to have your notes hidden in a whole bunch of different places. So find your notes packet or spiral notebook or your composition notebook, get it out. If you want to leave the first page for a table of contents, that might help you later to find all of your notes, and then you can number your pages as you go and add the topics in your table of contents, then you can quickly find them during a test. Okay, so pause the video if you need to and then start it again. Once you're finished with the notes, you can take pictures of them, scan them, you can do a little video like here's my notes, and then just submit those online in Canvas and you'll get some points for participating. Okay, so these notes are on the scientific process. So I'm going to write what I think you should write, and then you can paraphrase, summarize, whatever you need to do to make it yours. That's totally fine. Just get all the information so that you have it for your test, okay? So scientific process is the title of these notes. So that can go at the top of the page. And we're just going to talk about something that you've probably learned several times with science teachers in the past, but we're going to start with the pieces of the scientific process. So observations. Observations is one piece of the scientific process. And that would be seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling, tasting, all of those. Okay, so seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling, tasting. Okay? Any of your five senses. All right, next, questions. Questions. You form a question from your observations. Form a question from your observations. Okay? So if I'm watching TV with my family, my little toddlers, and I smell something awful while we're watching this movie, my question will be, what's that smell? Right? Okay? Next is hypothesis. Okay? We are pretty familiar with that term. It is an educated guess about the answer to your question. Educated guess about the answer to your question. Okay, educated guess about the answer to your question. So my educated guess about the awful smell is my son just crapped in his diaper. That's probably what that smell is. That's my hypothesis. Okay? All right, next, experiment. Okay? Experiment is testing the hypothesis. Testing the hypothesis. Okay? So how do I test my hypothesis about the crapping the diaper? Well, I go check the diaper, okay? It might be as simple as just taking a little peek or taking him upstairs to the changing table and checking it out, okay? All right, gather data or evidence. Gather data or evidence is the next piece, okay? And that is, it should be written. So in labs and actual experiments, we're going to be writing our data down, okay? In this example that I'm giving you with the smelly diaper, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily need to write that, but I would gather some mental data. Is that what it was, or is it not what it was, okay? All right, and then conclusion is relate the data back to the hypothesis. Relate the data back to the hypothesis, okay? So, yes, oh look, there's some stuff in his diaper, I must have been right. Or, oh no, his diaper's empty, guess I was wrong. So we are either going to support or refute the hypothesis. Support or refute. So support, the hypothesis was right. Refute means the hypothesis was wrong. We do not prove or disprove, okay? This is a bad word in science. We don't prove in science. We don't disprove in science. Get rid of that word from your vocabulary. Proving is too final. In science, we always allow for more data to help change our results, okay? So we're always allowing in science the opportunity for further research to support a hypothesis. So right now we could say, well, I don't see anything in his diaper, so that's refuting my hypothesis, okay? But upon further investigation, I might find that there's a turd jammed between his butt cheeks, and I was right? So I never disprove anything, I never prove anything, because again, if there's poop in his diaper and I clean it out, give him a change, then I go back downstairs and I still smell the smell, that again did not prove my hypothesis. It supported the hypothesis, but it's always open for reinterpretation, okay? So get rid of that P word. That is a bad word in science. Let's knock it out, okay? All right, one more piece here, communication. Communication. Okay? Communication is a piece that is essential in the scientific process. Unfortunately, a lot of scientists aren't very great at communicating. They use language that's way up here and we're all way down here and we're like, what the heck is he talking about? Or what the heck is she talking about? Okay? So communication is trying to communicate your results out so that they can be used. Okay? So this, in our class, this might look like a lab write-up. Okay? It could look like a paper. You could publish in a journal or a book. Or for somebody like the Mythbusters show, they would be making a TV show about it, and that would be their way of communicating the results to the world. Okay? So in our class, though, lab write-up or lab worksheet is going to be what we do. Now, one more note I just want to put in here is these steps can be done in almost any order. Okay? These steps can be done in almost any order. These steps can be done in almost any order. Okay? Almost any order. It's a very, very flexible process. For example, your experiment might lead to further questions, further observations, and so you might circle back up here and then work through the process a little bit differently. If I find that his diaper is empty, I'm going to have to come up with a new hypothesis and then do an experiment to test my new hypothesis, or I'm just going to have to live with the smell, which I'm not a fan of bad smells, so that's not going to be what happens, okay? So it's a flexible process, it's fluid, it circles back on itself, and it can be done in almost any order. So just make sure you know it is not always boom, 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 but we can actually change the order up a little bit, okay? All right, once you're done, make sure that you take a picture of it, submit it, and you'll get some points for participating, and you get to use these on the test, so don't lose them.